So we're standing beside Mahonia japonica, which is beautifully out in flower at the moment. It has lemon yellow flowers, and the flower spikes spread out fairly flat in a slightly pendulous way. Many other Mahonias have very upright flowers, but japonica has this beautiful spreading habit. Not all the flowers completely come out at once. Some are slightly over, some are still in tight bud. And one of the things with Mahonias is that people are rather afraid to prune them. But actually pruning Mahonias is perfectly possible. They reshoot really quite quickly. And if your Mahonia gets tall and leggy, and a lot of the different forms of Mahonia have very upright, straight growths which can go up to 8 or 10 feet. And so from time to time you can trim them back with no ill effect. Here on this Mahonia japonica, the leaves and the branches are starting to come out over the path, and obviously a Mahonia has very prickly pointed leaves, and we don't want any members of the public passing by and claiming they were scratched or hurt by brushing up against this Mahonia. So we're going to have a little go at trimming it, and you can see basically how hard we can cut it back and what the approach will be. So what we're doing is cutting back the last couple of years' growth. We're cutting back to a woody stem. It's a job that perhaps Jamie might have worn gloves for, but he's feeling tough today, so there's no particular problem. And you can be rather more ruthless than you might think with your Mahonia. And it takes a little while to get stuck in and really start trimming it back. But if we look at some of the older growth, when you cut it you get this strangely yellow stem, strangely sappy yellow stem. And obviously when we're pruning we want to prune up at one level. We don't want to prune the bottom level harder than we prune the top, because ultimately the bottom level will then cease to get enough light and begin to start dying. And actually we're treating this Mahonia a bit like a hedge. As you can see, it's been cut back before and it takes no harm from being cut for a second time. What will happen to these stems that have been cut back is that they will rapidly reshoot from the next node down the stem and soon green up and leaf up. But what we've managed to do very quickly here is to level up this plant, keep the prickly leaves away from the public, and there's quite a bit more to do. Long handled pruners for the top bits. As you can see, there's a bit more to do. We won't bore you with the next half an hour this is going to take, but you get the idea. And we'll now go and have a look at a tall stem Mahonia and have a look at pruning that as well. So we looked at pruning Mahonia off the side of a path, and here is a much more upright and erect growing Mahonia. Mahonia which was being crowded out, and so we gave it a pruning to let it shoot again. The pruning took place exactly a year ago, and you can see that the plant has reshot from each stem, or nearly every stem that was cut back, and we've already got some flowering. So one of those plants that you think it might be dangerous to prune back actually prunes back very easily and reshoots almost immediately. This was probably a 35-year-old plant when it was cut back, and today it's shooting away again, and at least you can now see the flowers which you couldn't when they were 20 foot up in the sky. So Mahonia pruning on two very different types of Mahonia, no worries, it can be done, they reshoot easily.